Alice, should we jump in?
Yeah, let's do it.
I'll start off since I'm the one who's chatting away. But I'm Marty, and I'm really grateful everybody is here today to join us. And I'm excited to introduce Talis, who is the co-founder of Crew Platform, and it's an amazing tool and an amazing community of organizations that she has built. Um, So I won't go into every detail. I'll let her take it from there. But I'm excited for all of you to come today. And we have two amazing organizations that have joined to talk about their experience on engaging youth online.
Awesome. Thank you, Marty. Thanks for the intro and thank you for helping us organize this event. Marty is the yeah, she came up with this idea of us uh, sharing by webinars the amazing work that our partner organizations are doing and a little bit about how we support their work with technology, which we all know it's not the silver bullet for community engagement by any means, but it has a role to play. And especially as we know nowadays that we're all more confined in our spaces and our ability to implement our work and mobilize people. Um, we're just happy to share with you all a little bit about our work. And I guess I'll start there and then I'll introduce our dear friends Chloe and Ellie who are here to share about their programs today. Um, so Crew is a tech nonprofit organization that emerged from actually youth movements. Members of the founding team of Crew were actually members of Feel Good, who is represented here today, and actually in partnership also with Challah for Hunger, who was our second partner ever. We've together for years been working on creating online tools that help us train, connect, and support leaders, young leaders who are creating change in their communities, mobilizing other young people, and working as a team to do all kinds of impactful things. Um, and just to share here a little bit with you about our vision, which emerged really from the beginning, is as we were in relationship with a lot of other youth movements like Call for Hunger and dozens of others here and around the world. I think we saw an opportunity and value in joining forces basically to build shared infrastructure together so that for one, all of our small budgets could like help build helpful tools that would have a greater impact in our work, and also to share best practices and ideas as we're all in this same space to help build a world that works for all, which, you know, at bottom line, that's what we're all working for through different issues and different causes. But that's really what brings us and all together and what connects us. Um, so I'll stop here my screen sharing just so that we can focus on each other's presence. And I would like now to welcome you all and say how grateful we are you took time of your day to be here and be in conversation and learn about the work of Feel Good and Challah for Hunger. I'd like to introduce both of our guest speakers. Chloe is program director for Feel Good, and same Ellie is also director of programs at Challah for Hunger. And actually, I'd like to invite you each. Maybe Ellie, I'll start with you, if it's okay, just to share about what is Challah for Hunger, what's your role with them, and yeah, like who is Challah for Hunger mobilizing?
Yeah, hi everybody. It's really nice to see all of you. So like Challah said, my name is Ellie. I'm the Director of Programs at Follow for Hunger, and our mission is to build communities inspired and equipped to take action against hunger. The way that that's looked in the past for us is we work primarily with college students. We're on 85 college campuses across the country. And last year, we also expanded our program to work with families with young children who are like age 4 to 10. So those are the two main communities that we work with. Um, Before COVID, what we would do was we would gather volunteers together to bake and sell challah, which is a traditional Jewish bread. And then that bread would be sold on campus and in the community to raise funds for local and national anti-hunger organizations. And as part of that, we would also do a lot of education and advocacy trainings and actions to support folks who are experiencing hunger, and in particular, college students who are experiencing hunger, because about 1 in 3 college students prior to the pandemic was experiencing food insecurity in the United States. And that makes it much harder to complete school, attain degrees. For non-traditional students, it makes it really hard to balance their family time and commitments, and it also like reduces the opportunities for low-income folks to participate fully in higher education. Did I hit all of the things I was supposed to say?
Yes, Ellie, thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, I love how entrepreneurial really both of the programs represented today are, and how creative you from that place. And you all have evolved so much over the years to expand your impact and the causes you work on. So very inspiring. And hi, Chloe, how are you?
Hi, Tallies, and all my new friends. I'm doing well. I'm so glad that I could be here with all of you today. So, like Tally said, I am Feel Good's program director, and I'm always excited to be in her presence as the co-founder of our organization. And Feel Good is a youth engagement movement turning college into a time of effective global action through empowering college students to develop social enterprises to raise money and awareness for the end of extreme global poverty and hunger. And these social enterprises typically take the form of a gourmet grilled cheese deli. So our students raise money and awareness through the simple act of making a delicious grilled cheese sandwich and having a conversation with their peers about the grave issues that we face as a generation when it comes to global hunger and poverty.
Awesome. Thank you, Chloe. Thank you for sharing about Feel Good's work. And the next question that I would like to ask, it's more logistical, but I'm always curious about how organizations grow, and I'm wondering if you each could share a little bit about how each of your programs recruit new either universities or schools or families or your different target audiences to join your program. Ellie, would you mind if we ask you again first?
Sure. So something that's cool about our campus program is that we recruit entirely through word of mouth. So every chapter has to be started by students who are interested in being the leaders of that chapter on their campus. And the majority of them hear about it from like a friend in high school or a sibling or somebody who's done the program at a different college or university. Our community programs are more like large scale institutional partnerships right now, just because they're still kind of in the pilot phase, but we're hoping to move to a word of mouth model for them too.
Awesome. How about you, Chloe?
Feel Good takes a similar avenue to the word of mouth spread for chapters. We also find that our most effective chapters are founded and created by students who are interested in joining the program and who hear about it from a friend, or who are steered in our direction if they're interested in the organizations that Feel Good supports, like the Hunger Project. And in the past, we've supported organizations like Water for People and the Pachamama Alliance. So when our students are interested in getting involved in anything that had to do with global hunger or water and clean water and sanitation, they would come across some of Feel Good's partner organizations where our students were raising money for. And if they wanted to get involved, our partners would steer them to this program, so they could support in that way in starting a Feel Good chapter. And we do also have a board of directors that's now transitioned to an advisory council. And one of those seats is specifically for recruitment. So they work on recruiting new chapters and are also working to pilot a high school program.
That's great. Thank you, Chloe. And let's see, the next question that I would like to ask has to do about with how you run your programs, how you coordinate such a large network of volunteers and leaders from around the country and sometimes around the world, to get started with a chapter and then to sustain and operate a chapter with your organizations. Let's see, should we keep the same order, Ellie? Do you mind taking us through? And also, I just want to say, do you want to share your screen, or would you like me to share your marketplace screens?
If you want to pull marketplace up, that would be great. And then I can make sure to be focused on presenting what I need to say. And Chloe,
yeah, I'll follow you.
Cool. So the marketplace is our version of Crew's platform, and I came to Follow for Hunger when we had marketplace already. So to be honest, I have no idea how we would have engaged the audience that we have if we didn't have a site like this, because we have 85 chapters on college campuses, and like each of those chapters has a leadership team of like 3 to 5 people. So already just like with a leadership team, it's a huge number of students that we want to be engaging and providing all of the materials and resources that they're interested in without like bombarding them with emails and texts to say like, hey, did you see this? Like, hey. So the marketplace has been great for us because we're able to both like prioritize the things that we want to make sure students know about. Like you can see the announcement at the top of the screen that says Fuel Higher Ed and the Challah Convention. Like those are 2 opportunities that we have going right now that we really want all of our community members participating in. And then folks can also utilize the library to go through and find the resources and tracks that are most in line with what they're interested in doing. So Talis right now is in our startup training. We broke it down into steps that folks can take so that it's a 6-week process. It's all like self-managed. And there are different actions and checkpoints for students to take the opportunity to like participate in trainings and then reflect on them through the actions. So we have different recordings. We have a quick like marketplace just update. And then we have some kind of embedded PowerPoints that folks can walk through and different videos to complete. And at the end of each one, they share a reflection about what they've learned. And then it's nice because also like other folks can interact with each other and ask questions and talk about the work that they're doing. So that's like how chapters start up. And then the work that we do overall is divided into 3 kind of pillars that we describe, which are community, advocacy, and philanthropy. And depending on what a student's interest and role is, they might be really excited about advocacy. That's our ultimate goal, is we want to get students excited to take action to fight hunger. So then they could go through, there's a way on Crew's site to sort by category. So we have an advocacy category, we have like an educational resources category, and that allows students to really kind of self-select and find the resources that they're looking for. Yeah, so you can see like we have facilitation guides, we have we're a really small staff. There's only 5 of us right now, which is too small to manage this type of program, as I'm sure Chloe feels the same way. So we have a really amazing team of alumni advisors that we also support through the marketplace. And there are folks who have graduated from college, but were leaders when they were an undergrad, and they're able to check in with student leaders on specific campuses every month to be mentors and to support them in the work that they're doing. So we also have the tools for each of them. We have like kind of a what to expect this month form for folks to go through to make sure that they're touching base about all of the important things that are coming up in that month. So the beginning of the school year, we like ask all of our chapters to sign an agreement form just to let us know that they're interested in So that's kind of the quick overview. And I saw that there's a question from Simon. So Call for Hunger has been around since 2004. It was actually started by a college student who saw that hunger was an issue in her community and in the world and wanted to do something to make a difference, and also just like enjoyed baking challah. And so it kind of evolved into what it is today. But we focus most specifically on campus food insecurity, which is defined as a college student who does not know where their next meal is coming from. So food insecurity could happen for a few days, it could happen for a few years, but it's that sense of not knowing what your meal plan and meal structure is going to look like for any given period of time. And we look at it usually in like a 30 days or more structure. So that's how we get that definition. And I want to make space now for Chloe to be able to go through hers, but we can come back to some of
Thank
these.
you, Ellie. Yeah, this was very, very helpful. Thank you, and thanks for noticing the question. Chloe, let's look at Feel Good's
Yes.
way of
Let's
engagement
show
and coordinating.
everyone Cheese World. This is how we, we're cheese obsessed over at Feel Good. But as Ellie was talking about Challah for Hunger, I can't help but feel like Feel Good and Challah for Hunger are like fraternal twins. We don't look the same, we're not identical, but we share a lot of similarities. So we are also a chapter-based program. We have students who are leaders of each chapter. We require each chapter to fulfill 5 leadership positions, and they operate like any other student organization on their campus would. So not all of our chapters look the same. There are some like very specific things that are required for each chapter, but it's also important for us to note that every campus looks different. Every campus requires different things. Every campus environment looks different. And so we are able to empower our students to adapt and be flexible to what's going to be most successful on their campuses because they know their campus best. So we also have a very similar setup. We have actions that are just leader specific for start of the year, getting their semester up and going, making sure that they have their proper team assembled. They have their first start of year meetings. They do their position orientations if they're a leader. And since we are partnered with an organization called the Hunger Project, and that's where our students invest the money that they raise, we also have a little like quiz to make sure that they are familiar with the mission, the vision, and the work of our partner at the Hunger Project. And Talise, you're following along so well. Thank you so much. We also have a similar structure with alumni advisors. We call them Changemaker Igniters. Each chapter is assigned a CI, as we call them for short. They go through a leadership training over the summer with me, a volunteer training, and then they're each assigned a chapter, and they meet with the chapter leadership once a month at minimum about whether they're on track to meet fundraising goals, how they're recruiting students, education that is being implemented in their meetings with their chapters and with their leadership. And in order to become a chapter, we have what's called the Launchpad process, or any group of students who are interested in starting a chapter come together, they submit an application, they go through an interview, and then once they're accepted into the Launchpad program, they go through these team milestones. They have to apply to be a registered student organization on their campus. They have to establish partnerships with people on campus, either other student groups or staff and administration. Because almost all of our students operate in food, we do require them to go through food safety training. And that's also some requirements at many campuses. So that's really important if you're thinking of selling food. And this year it will obviously look different on many of our campuses who have that restriction. And then they have to fundraise. They have their first event and enterprise, and we require them to raise at least $500 before admitting them into the full chapter program, just to make sure that they're ready and willing to go, and that we can invest more time and money in their chapter to support them. And like Ellie said, they are a staff of 5. I'm currently a staff of 1. We moved from a model of having we were 3 full-time staff, and we've now become an official youth engagement program sponsored by the Hunger Project. So technically I'm now an employee of the Hunger Project and have joined a team of like 12 people, but I'm the only one who's working on I'm the head of the Feel Good program for the Hunger Project. So it looks a little bit different now, but still the same basic concept: raising money and awareness for the end of global poverty and end of hunger. So I don't know if there are any like other pieces that we should highlight on the Cheese World platform, Tallies, that you think are important.
I think this is great. Oh, actually, can you talk? You both do this, but since your students run social enterprises, both of your organizations raise money that is invested in the students' enterprise and efforts on campus. I think it would be fun to hear from each of you. Maybe Chloe, you can get us started this time, just in terms of like, what does your reward, how do people earn that investment capital? And I can share here your store and everything.
Okay. On like the points basis?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we have every year when we create the Feel Good budget, part of that budget is our Cheese World or our crew platform budget that covers it covers some inventory costs for students if they want to, if they need a new grill, or if they want to get a banner, they need some aprons. And the way that they earn that capital, the way they earn the investment that we have in their chapters, is by participating on the platform and earning points by completing these actions. So as leaders, as student members of chapters who maybe don't have a leadership position, the more actions that they complete, the more points their team receives, and that those points turn into capital, turn into investment. And depending on how much money the chapter raised the previous year, we divide chapters into phases, and your phase is based off how much investment capital you have access to.
Right. Yeah, that's really neat. And you can see here Feel Good's like reward page, where the chapter, like someone on behalf of their chapter would come and access different items that can help them run their deli, or even request reimbursements or unique purchases. Oops, error code I need to look at. But yeah, you can see here, you can request a purchase or a reimbursement and get students to submit their receipts. And the platform does have a control mechanism to help you make sure that you're not overspending, right? That every chapter only spends the money that you've allotted to them, and yeah, and that you don't even carry over from one year to the next, right? I saw you just resetted points just now.
Yes, so we reset typically on July 1st, so give or take a few days, depending on what's going on. And that's reset at the calendar year, or I'm sorry, the academic year. So typically students return in September, August, September, and are finished up by the end of June. So we reset in July, and then they can start earning points again at the beginning of the fall term.
Thank you, Chloe. Ellie, are you guys are you still doing points and rewards? I am sorry to put you on the spot.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm sorry. So we just took our prizes offline because we can't be in our office right now. So we don't have the ability to ship prizes, but we typically do have prizes up here, not nearly as many as Feel Good, but we have like 4 or 5 different swag items that are available that like anyone can redeem for points. And one of those things is like a few of them tend to relate to like advocacy actions. So we have like branded postcards that you can request for a letter writing event. And then also like more fun swag like stickers and aprons and things. We also have some of those prizes typically tied to a badge, which means that like when a student completes specific actions, then they end up like they qualify for a specific prize. So like if a student completes advocacy training, then they ultimately end up with like a specific advocacy related prize for going through that training. And then in terms of like startup kind of capital, every chapter, once they complete the required trainings and check-ins to become a Follow for Hunger chapter, we provide them with a $200 stipend to purchase any kitchen ingredients or equipment or things that they need. But like Chloe was saying, every chapter looks different. So we want to make sure that we're getting them the actual correct thing that they want. So they're able to kind of let us know what materials they're missing and we can purchase it.
That's great.
Actually, I just want to put your attention towards the chat. There's a question from Simon that if you want to think about or if you want to read and
Thank you. Would you mind reading it, Marty?
Yeah, so it said, why did you decide to get involved with this initiative? What are the most rewarding aspects of this project? What are your goals regarding the impact you want to have on the society? What circumstances could prevent young people to know about Feel Good? And how can we mitigate those? If you could change one thing about education system, what would you change?
These are really great questions, and I don't know if I can answer all of them because I know we have a limited time together, but I got involved in this work when I met Talise actually virtually in December of 2010 during a leadership class I was taking at my own campus. And part of that class was to create a Feel Good chapter. So that's why I met Talise back in 2010. And I was woken up to the reality that my generation was facing at the time. I think 820 million people were suffering from global hunger. And that felt like a reality that I didn't want to live in anymore. So that's why I continued to participate in the Feel Good program as a student, developing my own chapter on campus, and remaining a very active volunteer, even postgraduate, and then coming on staff. For me, the most rewarding part of my work now is empowering other young people to make a global impact and to see their priorities shift, to see the commitment and dedication develop to become a global citizen, is something that's really powerful. I think something that has prevented Feel Good from expanding are campus restrictions. And when it comes to either selling food or providing a service with a student-led model, there are some challenges there. And I think the thing I would change about the American college system, higher education, is the cost. It's so cost prohibitive for so many students to either not be able to attend college, or if they are attending college, they have to work 4 jobs just to pay for their tuition, or which doesn't allow them to participate in volunteer activities. And we are strictly volunteer based, so we do not pay any of our students. And so the cost of college is really prohibitive for some students who want to engage in volunteer activities. So that's what I would change.
Thank you, Chloe. And thanks, Simon. You've asked so many wonderful questions. I was getting to catch up also on the previous questions to Ellie. I think the next question I'd like to ask, and maybe there's a shared interest in folks in the call, is what are your, I know there's so many unknowns in the year ahead, the school year ahead. You both work in university campuses. If you're in this call, like I know Sam, you're with Net Impact, and Marty, you work with youth as well. Yeah, it's impossible to foresee how schools are gonna be running in the year, but what are you starting with? Like as the school year's about to start in a couple, 2 or 3 weeks, what are your thoughts for just getting started? How are you engaging young people to kickstart the year? Ellie, can I start with you?
Yeah, so this is obviously a huge question.
Mm-hmm.
We've been doing a lot of talking and planning and bringing in student focus groups over the summer to feel out what seems possible. And so we made a really difficult decision that we are asking all of our chapters to refrain from baking and gathering in groups for the rest of the calendar year, which is rough because that's like really the biggest part of our program up until now was that action of coming together and baking together, and that challah being that like conveyor for change. So it's hard because like our students are all really mourning that opportunity and that sense of normalcy that comes along with being able to participate in a program that they've been part of and enjoy and get like a sense of positive impact from. But the way that we're really pivoting is through advocacy. It's something that's always been important to us as an organization. And now that we have more time and resources to devote to advocacy, we actually this summer launched a national advocacy campaign in the United States called Fuel Higher Ed, with the goal of creating, Fuel is an acronym, to create fundamental, universal, equitable, and long-term solutions to campus hunger. And so we are working with about 30 partners across the country to come up with those solutions. And we have specific policy recommendations that we are making at both the state and federal levels. And what's really working for us in that regard is like, and I think this will continue into the fall with all of the aspects of our programming, but like, it's really hard to not be able to be in person, but it also opens up these huge opportunities for our chapters to reach more people and to reach beyond like the typical Challah for Hunger student to like do more. So they can reach other folks on their campus, they can connect with each other in more like structured and sustainable ways that like we're gonna provide those virtual networking opportunities. And also like this is a huge moment to be advocating for like specific policy changes in the anti-hunger space. Like a lot of the funding in the US that has been passed to support like coronavirus relief has had some type of connection with SNAP, which is like a food access program in the US. And because it's getting a lot of national attention, kind of for the first time in some ways, our students have been able to use their experiences and voices to really like take that on and like be reaching out to their representatives, be reaching out to their peers, like telling their college administrators, like this is something that's important to me that I'm working on. And having those like specific toolkits for how that action is possible and trainings to show like this is why we are doing X at X time and like how it will build off of each other is really the way that like we're hoping to continue to pivot in the fall as well.
Wow, that's more remarkable. I didn't realize that the fuel campaign just started in the summer. For some reason, I thought, yeah, that it had started at the end of the spring semester. So that's amazing how quickly you guys been able to put that together and get it off the ground. Yeah, nice work, Ellie. And Chloe, what about Feel Good? How are you all starting out the year?
Well, we did not put in a similar restriction of no grilling or meeting together because a lot of those restrictions have already been mandated by universities of not gathering in groups larger than 5, or students who typically sell food on campus are no longer allowed to. So we in the last few weeks and months have been developing a fundraising innovation challenge for students to participate in pitching alternative ideas to raise money on their campuses. This past summer, a report of the UN Food and Agriculture section came out. It comes out every year to report on the progress of global hunger and poverty. And the number of people suffering from global hunger and poverty has been increasing in the last few years. Within the last decade, it had been on the decrease, but within the last 4 to 5 years, that number has been increasing. So while we did take last semester kind of off from fundraising since nobody really knew what was going on, students had to go home, there weren't ways to fundraise. We kind of, called, the semester was a wash. But once this report came out and years before, there is obviously a sense of urgency of not letting another semester go without taking action, without continuing to invest in the work of the Hunger Project that's trying to combat hunger and poverty and eradicate it. So we are inviting all of our students from chapters to create we're basically hosting like a Feel Good Shark Tank, if you're familiar with that show in the US, where they will pitch new enterprise ideas that they can either implement on their own campus to raise money, or a chapter who hears something that they're really interested in can adopt and use on their own campus. So they're required to submit a business plan, create a new model. They will then present to a panel of judges who will vote on their favorite idea. And that team will receive investment capital to get that started and launched on their campus. So that hasn't been totally announced yet, but it's what we've got in the works for the next couple of weeks to launch.
That's really cool. Yeah, that's really cool. And I mean, it's always inspiring to see how quickly, when we're put in a situation where we have to be creative, how quickly everyone responds and adapts. And it's remarkable to hear both of your programs quick shifts for the fall. Thank you for sharing. And I'll ask one last question, and then we'll connect with all of our with our participants today. And my last question is, what would you say are your top two or three best practices when it comes to engaging a community online that is trying to do work offline? Ellie, can I start with you?
Yeah, that's a great question. And the one that immediately jumps to my mind is like center the experiences and voices of the community that you're working with. So like for us, we don't want to operate as like we're the staff members and we are going to decide everything about our next steps by ourselves and I hope you like it. Like we have been bringing in student voices this like entire summer to make sure that we're doing what our students actually want. Like they're the leaders of their chapters. We want them to be like the leaders and kind of the compass for our organization. And I think that for any organization that's doing like social justice work, if you're not centering the experiences of the people who are living with that issue, like whatever it is, then like it's hard to be as effective and engaging as you might want to be, no matter what like your best intentions are. So that's been huge. And then like also I think understanding how hard it is to like be a human right now. Like every single person, no matter where you live or what you're doing or what impact like this pandemic and like everything that has happened this year has had on you, like we're all living in like a period of like trauma, and understanding that like it's great when folks can take that step forward, and also being respectful and giving each other the space to step back and like care for ourselves.
Thank you, Ellie. Thank you for sharing. It sounds like from conversations we've been having with youth movement leaders, like a lot of your programs are also suddenly becoming like emotional support and programs for the young people you engage, and you're all doing so much creating that space for your young folks to process what's going on and have count on you as a kind of like steady point in their lives. It's really important. Thanks for presenting that. And Chloe, how about your best practices for and your work with Feel Good?
Well, I will continue to echo sentiments from my fraternal twin here on the call, Ellie. We really do take the lead from our students. This is a youth-led movement, and to not listen to their feedback or to not involve them in crucial decision-making and response when it comes to big issues that we're facing, like COVID and restrictions on their campus, um, it it's not productive for anybody, and it's not actually going to help us move forward. So we've also been engaging student representatives throughout the summer in having their input on piloting new programs, and throughout the end of the semester and into the summer, we also wanted to provide virtual engagement opportunities as well, so they could still feel connected to their own chapter, but also our Feel Good movement on a national level. And most recently, what we did is we hosted a virtual anti-racist leadership workshop series where student leaders and alumni and investors also in Feel Good were all invited to come together to go through a 3-part training for anti-racism leadership, which can be implemented in being a human every day, and also implemented in their own chapters and on their own campuses of becoming anti-racist leaders. So we've offered those types of opportunities. We've engaged students in what makes sense for them, what would work for them, where they want to participate. And I have noticed that even on the chapter level and on a movement level, personal connections always tend to increase engagement. When we're able to personally connect with a student, invite them to join the thing, or encourage them to host their chapter meeting, even if it is on a Zoom call, they then really do take that lead. So that personal investment and relationship building is something that I can't strive enough, even if it is virtual. There are dozens of students that I've only had a virtual relationship with, and it doesn't feel that way, but it is that way. We've never met in person. But we're still able to build this connection and this relationship with one another that is based over a fondness of grilled cheese and an essential responsibility to do what we can to end hunger.
Thank you, Chloe. Thank you both. These are helpful tips, and I think, yeah, like, you know, that commonality you all have, and really I think a lot of grassroots movements have that are organized similar to you, right? Tiny staff, lots of volunteer coordinators or mentors, supporting even lots and lots and lots more local leaders who then engage dozens or sometimes hundreds of local members, relationships between each of the leaders of the movement that you've built seems to be so key to maintain the commitment and the focus, and even just to like help troubleshoot, right, how to move forward when things are challenging and change. So yes, thank you for sharing, and I would love to hear if there are any questions or thoughts, ideas, contributions from our dear participants today. Also, hi Charlotte, we didn't get to hear your voice earlier.
Oh, that's okay. I'm just listening in and trying to learn more about Crew and decide if it's a good fit for our organization.
Wow. Where are you joining from and what organization?
I am from Sacramento, California, and I am researching different community-based online platforms for trying to build a community of practice for teachers of mathematics courses that we've designed and developed. And yeah, they are screaming, have been wanting a place to share their thoughts and ideas, particularly during this change where they're being forced to move to distance learning. So
wow, thanks for joining us, and I'd love to connect and we can explore more if there's a way we can serve you and the great work you're doing.
Okay, great. Thank you. And thank you,
Thank you.
Chloe and Ellie, for sharing and sharing your screens too. I value to see how how it's set up, the different
Mm.
features that are offered through Crew.
It's a great platform. I mean, we've been using it for a couple of years now, and our program's set up a bit differently where we have like curriculum and we don't necessarily have chapter based, but it's been really interesting to learn from so many different, um, organizations and how they set it up. So, I've learned a lot today just in terms of what both of you are doing. It's really fantastic. But I certainly find what I love about Crew is the fact that it's a great tool, and then I also learned so much from the community along the way, just in terms of new ideas or different ways to present material or to engage people. Whether it's an education program or a youth movement or accelerator, it's incredible how much I've learned throughout the process through this. And I think one thing I will say also, what we've benefited from so much is that Thales has this great model that is so unusual in the world of technology that we spend a lot of time in. But every time they create or they get commissioned on a new feature for the platform, everybody in the membership benefits from that. And they are just launching even tomorrow another feature. Is that correct? About
Yeah.
and you're working on a few others in the fall, and it's been incredible to even see in the couple years that we've been with you just how much
Mm.
growth there's been on that. And I guess as a nonprofit with your own mission, it's an incredible way and philosophy to put out there. Yeah.
Thank you, Marty. You're very generous. Thank you for sharing your experience. And actually, I'd like to, Sam, if it's okay with you, can I invite you to share how you're doing with Net Impact and the start of chapters? I think, yeah, you guys also have a lot to share, which, by the way, will be featuring the competitions in the months coming that you run. But I'm just curious how you're doing and how you're getting ready for the start of year.
Yeah, sure. Hold on, let me see. I've had enough coffee and I'm awake enough to turn on my camera. Yeah, so we have about 420 chapters around the world. About 250 of them are at college campuses in the US. And so our sort of operating assumption right now is there's going to be basically every possible combination. You know, some people are going to never be on their campus. Some people are going to be on their campus taking only online classes, and some people are going to be on their campus and taking real classes. And also that the time frames are going to be bigger. There are schools that are back now. Notre Dame started bringing people back last week. And so there's going to be academic years that start now and end in mid-November, and there are going to be semesters that start in late September and end in late December to try to sort of hold those bubbles as tight as possible. So we're just trying to like keep that flexibility in mind that when we, oh, this is something we would normally do in late September because of X, thinking about, is that still the right thing to do right now? And building a lot of flexibility into what we ask of people and also how we deliver our programs so that our programs can be implemented digitally, essentially, with maybe some sort of in-person thing for the few places where that's possible. And that actually may be more likely outside of the US than in the US. And also creating more flexibility around time so that maybe in the past we would have had a hard deadline of XYZ thing has to happen by the beginning of November. Maybe this year we need to have more flexibility because that may be relatively early in the school year for some people and relatively late in the semester for others.
Yeah. Wow. There's just so much up in the air, and yeah, that's it's just so impressive too how many chapters you all support and equip throughout the year. And yeah, it's going to be a lot of work, I bet, to be on they're going to keep you on your toes trying to understand where they're at and how you can best support them and everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you for sharing.
Of course.
And And yeah, Marty, I'm curious if you have something you'd like to add, or I know Greg and Simon are starting to work with you, if you'd like to invite them in a particular area to share.
I mean, I think we're just constantly trying to figure out what's the best way to serve our community. I mean, as much as we specialize in a lot of online engagements and bringing youth together, the ongoing engagement part of it is very different, like now. And what do people need? So, even just having skill sets or programs that support online gatherings, I think that we're all just in a very volatile time right now that, people are tired of Zoom calls or they're tired of, only connecting digitally. So what does that look like? And how do you make the most of that and make it engaging, and support people where they are through this changing time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Simon, Greg, you're welcome to comment in on anything.
I would just wanted to say as well, well, thanks for answering my questions first. I asked a lot, but you could choose whatever you wanted. But I wanted to say that both of you had great presentation skills, like speaking skills. It was very pleasant to listen to both of you explain your projects. And yeah, I've been to a lot of those webinars, and I know it's not easy, especially because, I mean, we're online, like you're alone in your room, like right now. So it's kind of strange, but I feel like maybe working on those projects it gave you the confidence and also gave you the experience to be able to explain your project and really show the passion and why it's important. So yeah, it was great. It's very inspiring to hear both of your initiatives.
Thank you, Simon. Greg, anything you'd like to add?
No, in fact, it was yeah, really inspiring and great to learn from your different experiences, and I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you, and we're just a couple of minutes from being at time. I want to thank Marty again for organizing us to convene. Chloe and Ellie, thank you so much for sharing and making time of your busy schedules to share your experiences. And then Gregory, Simon, Charlotte, Sam, I know a few folks have exited, but it's great to see you. Great to meet you if we haven't met before. And I guess Charlotte, you're the only person in our call who we have not a personal relationship with, but I think we have your email through registration. Yes, and we'll be sure to reach out. And just in general, like I started with this call, right? Like even though we make a tech product, we are a nonprofit organization, and our goal is to build community amongst all of our nonprofits and movements who are mobilizing communities, or educators, parents, students. We work with a large variety of nonprofit organizations and movements. Okay, and yeah, I hope everyone has a great day or evening, and we'll keep in touch. Thank you again.
Can I get your direct email, Talis?
Yeah, for sure. I'll type it in here. Okay. Yes, Chloe and Nelly, any last words?
I don't think so. Just thank you so much for having me and inviting me to speak with all of you. Any chance I have to gush about Feel Good and talk about our students, I'm so excited to do that. And I will also chat my email here too, in case anyone wants to connect after this.
That's good. Thank you, Chloe.
Yeah, ditto to everything Chloe said. I'll also chat my email, but yeah, definitely stay in touch. And like, if anybody is interested in like talking more, or if there were like questions that we missed, happy to connect after. But it was really nice to meet all.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Ellie and Chloe and everyone. And that's it. We're done. Marty.
Bye.
Thank you all.
Bye.